As I go into the conversation, as we prepare for this wonderful conversation with Kenneth Cole, I wanted to do something as we start. And this is a tribute, much like our tribute just a second ago, because this is really about all of us. And we say you're not alone. And we know somebody that was alone for 8 minutes and 46 seconds with a knee on his neck. Let me start out by saying, I am a son, I am a father, and I am an uncle. I live the vicarious trauma of what I have seen and what I view in terms of what could happen to my nephews, what could happen to my son. And that phone call I may get, that knock at the door I may get. That's vicarious trauma. Patrick Kennedy, myself, and a few others, Dr. Arthur Evans, actually did a presentation on Capitol Hill about it. And there's a study from Johns Hopkins and the University of Michigan, a collaborative piece, actually from Kevin Detmer at Hurdle, an organization called Hurdle, on vicarious trauma. So where am I going with that is, remember I said I'm a father, I'm an uncle, I am a son. What keeps me up at night is what I just shared with you, is that possible call. As I was reading my notes several times, it was triggering for me because it took me back to a time where my mother is no stronger advocate, and to all of the men in the room, we all know our strongest advocate is our mom. So my mom advocated for me so many times, and she's no longer with us. So I'm going to speed this up, but I want to share this before I go into the tribute, because it triggered me to go back to a time when I was a high school athlete running track. And my colleagues and I was driving, and we were driving to drop off the guys. I was dropping them off, and we were stopped, surrounded. Kept there for a few hours, and then officers with guns drawn opened. It was a 4-door 63 Plymouth Belvedere. They opened the doors and pulled us out. Frisked us and kept us at the back of the car. And I won't go into any more detail, but what was so interesting when I was reading this tribute was that it took me back to that time, but it took me back to my mother's advocacy. She actually took great exceptions to what occurred because it was erroneous. It was there's so much I could tell you about it, and I won't. But where I'm going with that is that what we do is advocacy, and that advocacy is so important. And that moment when we as young men felt alone, she stepped up and was there to support us. So I want to thank all the moms in here for what you do in terms of in the space we're in. So I just want to remember that you have so much power, and it's so critically important that you use it. So with that said, we are in Minneapolis 3 years to the day when for one man, a son, a father, a poet, and a mentor that had a calming presence, he was a loving friend and a man who, in the words of Valerie Castillo, knew how to hug, and that was George Floyd. So I just wanted to do this as we are in the community where he lost his life on this date in 2020. So I will speed this up now. From corporations to systems of care, every industry and every individual was forced to confront the racial injustices permeating every corner and the very roots of our society. We were all forced to look within and to look around, to acknowledge how deep the wounds of historical, generational, and racial trauma continue to run, and to wrestle with how all of us must do better. Born in North Carolina, George Floyd was raised in Houston, Texas. His life was characterized by resilience. After a lifetime of odds stacked against him, he had come to Minneapolis in search of healing and treatment to find new inspiration to start a new chapter. We've all come to Minneapolis for this convention, aspiring towards similar ends, to connect with positive people, to learn and to grow. As we all know, George Floyd's time here was cut far short, but his life, we can affirm with profound conviction, mattered. And his death will never be in vain. As the footage of George Floyd's untimely and tragic death became visible across the country and across the world, no one could any longer turn a blind eye to how much of a public health crisis racism truly is. The effects of racism and racial trauma on physical and mental and communal health could no longer be ignored. And we all have gained a renewed focus on confronting the historic, systematic racial injustices that have far too long gone inadequately addressed. At NAMI, we renewed our commitment to anti-racism, to mental health equity, to correcting disparities in access to care, and to representation, inclusivity, and justice. We made diversity and inclusion a key accelerator in NAMI's 2025 strategic plan. We started a new hub within our organization solely focused on cross-cultural innovation and engagement work. We created programs by and for communities of color. Over the past few years, we're proud to say that we've launched incredible partnerships with Black-founded, led, and focused organizations like the Steve Fund, the Confess Project, and the Affirm Project. Steve Fund, as you all know, many of you, was started as a family lost their son, Steve, while he was a student at Brown University. Now, we've done intentional work with HBCUs and the Divine Nine, even creating a first-of-its-kind historic partnership with Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, a sisterhood of over 350,000 initiated Black college-educated women. And I know that many of you are here in the audience, so if you are a Delta and you are here, let us know it. We operationalize the national standards for culturally and linguistically appropriate services in health and healthcare, otherwise known as CLASS. And we've worked with Janssen Neuroscience to spearhead the Community Health Equity Alliance, also known as CHEER, which joins community-based organizations and thought leaders as collaborators under the shared mission to improve serious mental illness in Black and African ancestry adults. On a personal level, I know how incredibly important these initiatives are and what the real life impact is. And as an organization, I can assure you that NAMI will continue to prioritize this work. It is a portfolio, and it is nothing about us without us. And we want to make sure people are not alone. And as we know, George's last breaths, Mr. Floyd, he asked for his mom. So I wanted to close by saying, and as we move on to this wonderful day of engagement, of learning, of transfer of information and fellowship, that all of us matter. I want to thank you for what you do. And on this day, let us remember our way forward from what occurred here 3 years ago. Thank you.